Hi, I'm Maya from Bookworm Dreams and welcome to a new video. After a short break, I'm back with an August TBR video. Now in August there are 3 readathons happening that I want to participate in, and after a couple of months of just mood reading and being in a reading slump, I've decided to really kick off August with a really impressive amount of books. We'll see how many of these I get to, but yeah, let's just go through it. So the first readathon that's happening in August that I want to talk about is, of course, the Orilium readathon, created and hosted by G from the Book Roast. Basically, this is a changed version of the magical readathon, and we are now entering our autumn equinox. So my character is trying to become a scribe, and in the autumn equinox they have to achieve an ordinary in elemental studies, ordinary in what's the other thing, restoration, right? Then qualified in lore, and distinguished in inscription. So let's just go through the prompts and the books. So to get an ordinary from elemental studies, I have to start a book with a drink. So any of the books in my TBR, I'll just take a drink and while I'm reading it, starting reading it. To get an O in restoration, I have to read a book that has a single object as the focus on the cover. So for that, I picked Joe Hill's Full Throttle. So you can see here, I'm taking this giant motorcycle as the object on the cover, and basically this is a collection of short stories. See, I've tabbed them all, written by Joe Hill. Joe Hill is a horror writer. He's also the son of Stephen King. For you who don't know, he also wrote books like The Fireman, which I enjoyed, and The Heart-Shaped Box, and there was another one. But I usually read something horror-y on vacation, and since I'm going back on vacation soon, I'm gonna take this as something to read on the beach. So next, my character has to get a qualified in lore. So to get an ordinary, I have to read a book that has the colors similar to your country's flag. So here is the flag of my country, and here is the book I picked that matches. So I picked Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. So this is a SF horror novel in which a woman and her crew find decades lost luxury cruiser in space. And basically they find wreckage, and then they go inside to, I guess, what do people do with wreckages? They don't loot it, but they go to investigate what's happened and, I guess, loot stuff. And they discovered something horror-y that's happening inside. So yeah, that's the one I picked for this one. And to get qualified in lore, I have to read a book with betrayal. So I picked Age of Ash by Daniel Abraham. So this is a fantasy book, new one from this year, and it says, okay, this is book 1 in the fantasy trilogy that unfolds within the walls of a single great city over a course of one tumultuous year. So I am guessing that there is something betrayally happening, or there is going to be some kind of betrayal in this book. I don't want to know too much about it until when I get to it, but I can just tell you what it says here. It says here, so Kithamar, I'm sorry, is a center of trade and wealth, an ancient city with a long bloody history where countless thousand lives and their stories endure. We follow Alice, who is a petty thief from the slums, but when her brother is murdered, she sets out to discover who killed him and why. The more she unearths about him, the more she learns about herself, and the truths she finds are more dangerous than knives. Basically, yeah. So I'm picking that for my for the grade qualified in lore. Then my last subject I have to get a distinguished in is Inscriptions, and for to get an ordinary grade, I have to read a childhood favorite. Now, this I had trouble with, because we have required reading during our schooling, elementary schooling here in Croatia, and I don't really remember any of the books with, great amount of fondness. My favorite sort of required reading book that I've read is one that I've read during my college years, because I took several childhood or children literacy classes, so you had to read a bunch of books from that list. But that was the book I read in college, so I don't think this fits. But I picked The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien, because I think the first movie came out of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. The first movie came out while I was in 8th grade or first grade of high school. And that was when I sort of started more actively reading in the genre. So basically reading fantasy and science fiction. And I'm gonna count that as a childhood favorite. And since I am rereading the books with the Andy Serkis audiobooks, so I am now on this book. So The Two Towers, in the first book, The Fellowship of the Ring, we follow 4 hobbits and their fellowship with, you know, Aragorn, Boromir, and Gimli and Legolas and the wizard Gandalf as they go on a mission to destroy the one ring, the most powerful ring in Middle Earth that basically controls everybody and whatnot. So in the second book, our fellowship, spoilers for the first one, if you haven't read it, falls apart. And basically we follow each a group of characters doing their own thing. We meet the Rohirrim in this one, we meet Eomer, and we meet, I think we meet Faramir in this one too. He's from Gondor, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm looking forward to listening to this on audio because it is narrated by Andy Serkis and he does a fantastic job with these. Then, to get it qualified, you have to read a comic, and for that I picked The Boys by Gareth Ennis, I think his name is. No, sorry. Yes, sorry, Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson. So basically The Boys, there is a TV show on something, I don't remember. Basically The Boys, we follow a group of characters who live in a world where superheroes are a thing. But they are complete assholes and they are violent and evil and they have their own agenda. And the group of people, the boys that we follow, are basically vigilantes and they want to destroy them because, you know, the superheroes, they just, you know, murder people left and right doing their superhero work and whatnot. But it's not like all good and stuff. If you haven't seen the show, definitely give it a look. It's really interesting. And I just wanted to read one volume of this comic book series or graphic novel. I'm not sure what it is, just to see how from where the TV show came from. And to get it distinguished, I have to read a cozy read. And for that, I picked Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. People have been saying that it's very cozy and very sort of relaxing. It's a very relaxing read. So basically in this story we follow an orc who wants to open a coffee shop, and while she's trying to do that, like her ex-mercenary friends or colleagues are giving her a hard time. But yeah, people say there's a lot of discussions on cakes and coffees and stuff and running of coffee shops, so hopefully it will be relaxing and a fun read. So that's it for my Orilium TBR. Now another readathon that is happening this month is the new Releaseathon, which is happening the entirety of August, and it is created and hosted by Kristen from Kristen L SFF Reader. I will leave the link to her announcement video. She has a bunch of co-hosts for this readathon, and the goal is to read new releases from this year. There is a bingo card, but I found that one very stressful, so I just picked 5 new releases to read for this, and then I will figure it out later if they fit any of the prompts on the bingo card. So basically, I want to read Legends and Lattes that came out this year. I want to read Dead Silence that also came out this year. And then I want to read something called This Prisoning Hills by Christopher Rove. I might have mispronounced that, I'm sorry. So basically this is set in his like post-apocalyptic southern USA universe that he has some books in, and basically in this story there is an AI which has taken over part of the southern USA, and it corrupted and infected the environment, so the animals, the plants, the ground, with nanotechnology, and basically transformed them into biomechanical weapons of war. And in this short novella we follow Marsha, I think her name is. She's a former captain, and she's basically brought back to the game by the government, or whatever is left of the government, to go find one of the AI's weapons. Now, I'm not sure whether the weapon to destroy the AI or to do something with the weapon. I have no idea. But it's a novella, so it's like over 100 pages, so it should be a quick read. And the last book I want to mention for this readathon is Ruby Fever by Ilona Andrews. This is book 6 in the Hidden Legacy series, in which we follow Catalina and Alessandro. So the Hidden Legacy series is an urban fantasy series. It's going to be like a set up of trilogies. In the first trilogy we followed Nevada and Matt Rogan. They were like, Nevada has a PI agency and they go around solving crimes in this very, very cool world that Ilona Andrus, the husband and wife writing duo, created. And the second trilogy, we follow Nevada's sister Catalina. She has a power of, magical power of sort of making people like her. Is that her? Yeah, that's her. And she sort of has an hate-to-love relationship with Alessandro. He's like an Italian dude, whatever, who is also apparently a secret assassin. And in this third book of this trilogy about them, they're dealing with stuff as always. But these books are very enjoyable, a quick read, and I'm just looking forward to it. It's coming out like towards the end of August, so hopefully I will get to it. And the last readathon I want to mention that is happening in August doesn't have an announcement video yet. I think it's going to be going up the day I'm putting this video up. But in any case, I will try to leave the link to it later in the description box when the video comes out. Basically, in every August for the last couple of years, there was a readathon happening called Draconathon. Now, this is a readathon created and co-hosted by Jade from oh my god, she was Jaded Reader before. Now she changed her name to, I think, Jade Juniper, and Soleil from the, always mess up her name, channel name, Little Bookish Corner, Little Readers Corner. But anyway, sorry girls, I will leave the link to their channels down below. Basically, the goal of the readathon is to read books with dragons, and there's prompts and there's like activities there. You know, there's always like media stuff that's happening. You can watch a movie or a TV show. There's a group book and whatnot. But I have a newish dragon book, new for my TBR, newish in the world because it was published in 2016, 2017, and that is The Waking Fire by Anthony Ryan. This was cover by book because there's a giant dragon on it and there's a dude and there's like chains here, so I have no idea what this book is about. Of course, the last page only has praise for the book, but let's say what it says here. So no, that's not it. Basically says here, action-packed novel of exploration and adventure, spies and assassin, explosive magic, and the furious battle to forge an empire. This is book 1 in a series, I'm guessing, and of course it's a tome. It has 600 and something pages. So if there is actually a version of Tontopol happening in August, maybe I'll pick this one to read at that time as well. But anyway, I'm reading this dragon book. And also, if there is room for some more, I'll probably read some paranormal romances with dragons and such, because I do have some on my TBR, whatever. But yeah, that is my TBR for August. Many books. I want to say around 8 or 9. Hopefully I will try to stop rereading The Family by Katrina Jackson long enough to read these. But yeah, are you participating in any of these readathons? If you are, please do share your TBRs down below. If you have read any of the books that I have mentioned, please do let me know what you thought of them. There are some links in the description box, so please do check them out if you have the time. If you like this video, please press the like button. You can subscribe to our channel if you want to. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!